Okay. Hey there, strangers. It's, it's a 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream. I'm your host, Stranger Jim, and today we're going to be getting back into studying some Pega. At least, for an hour. Um, got. Uh, Today we're going to be focusing on the release management with Pega Platform today. Um, and obviously, seeing that they say that it's going to be 20 minutes. I suspect that it's going to take us the full hour to get through it all. Um, so just kind of bear that in mind. Or at least it's going to take me an hour to get through and speak about it and all that kind of jazz. Um, so be prepared for that. Um, okay, so uh, for those of you that are watching on Twitch, thank you for joining me again. I appreciate you being here. For anybody that is um, um, joining me on YouTube, thank you for coming on back. Hopefully, if you're watching this for the first time, check out my playlist for the other videos, the other topics that I've covered. Um, you know, uh, yeah, we've covered a lot already, but there's obviously still more to go. So we're going to be going through that. Now, before I go any further, though, I want to do, my normal beginning intro for these Pega videos, just so I don't, if anybody comes in and goes, you know, you know, hey trainer, kind of thing, it's like, yeah, no. So, first off, um, I'm just a regular software developer that is just working towards getting his certification in Pega for the system architect. Um, it was what I trained in my last job. Worked in the industry for a year, but I mean, obviously, you know, the jobs want the certification, and unfortunately, I was not able to get it during my last training because of, well, we didn't really have a great trainer. And that's a viewpoint that, it's just not me, that shared that viewpoint. There's quite a few that really did not enjoy the training session at all. Um, so, but I still wasn't able to get the certification for it. I missed it. I missed the minimum by like 6 questions. So, but I mean, yeah, I missed the minimum. So not great, right? Um, but the questions that were there on the certification test were also including questions that were from uh, like Pega Platform version 7. So I was like, going, wait, I've never even seen these keywords before. What are they asking for on this? So um, so it kind of took me by surprise on that. And of course, the instructor that I had at work, didn't really teach us much along those lines. He didn't really say, "Oh yeah, um, this keyword is actually," and it was actually this keyword in previous versions. He didn't really say that, which would have been helpful, seeing that there's obviously some developers out there that hadn't gone into 8.6 by that point. They probably were still using 7. Matter of fact, I was using 7 in my last job. They just recently got up to 8. So, um, so yeah, it's like, hold on a second. Let me blow my nose here. So, um, um, so concerning me, okay, I'm working on trying to get the system architect certification. Okay. I'll also be helping others out on going towards the business architect certification, seeing that um, business and systems are fairly similar to each other. You know, after these uh, first two missions of low code app builder and low code app builder and extended, there's only two modules for business, and then it goes into their testing, right? System architect has a lot more modules, um, but it doesn't cover those two that business covers. So, um, but it goes more in depth into the dev studio. So, um, what I plan on doing is after I get done with the low code app builder extended, which is also covered by business, I'll go over the two business modules. Okay. Um, and I'll be like ready to go for taking the business architect exam if I want to take it, which I just might. Um, and then we'll proceed on with the system architect certification study. Okay. Um, this is not endorsed by Pega. Um, I'm not getting anything from Pega or anything along those lines, so don't expect me, to be like, buy all the local merch and so on and so forth. No, they're not paying me or anything like that. So this is not sponsored. Okay. Um, I'm doing this for my own benefit, and in so doing, maybe you can get some benefit out of it yourself. Okay. Because I am not a authorized trainer at all. This is not meant to be in instructor-led training. Okay, so um, I would expect the instructor-led training to be more in depth and be able to answer questions more, um, and so on and so forth. I mean, I would expect it, especially the pricing that they give just for the training. Um, it's quite high. Um, so especially for the system architect. But um, at the same time, you're talking about people that are, probably there training you for like, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week or something like that. So, I mean, uh, depending on how much time they, you know, what the amount of time they put into the training session, like my training session was what, about 3 weeks of 8 hours a day, I think, to cover all of Pega. Something like that, somewhere around there. So, um, you factor that in, and you know, uh, the 5400 that I saw for the pricing comes out to be, um, like $100 per student per week, or, let's see. Well, let's see. Hold on. Well, first I would have to kind of divide that by three, actually, if it was for 3 weeks. So that would be more along the lines of 1,800 per week. Divide that by four, um, and you would have, you know, 40 per day. So that's really not that much, you know. Um, but I mean, if you have, if you have like multiple students, then obviously that covers one person's paycheck, right? If you have, if you have like, five people there, you know, then that's a decent wage. But way off track on that one. But yeah, I'm not an instructor. Don't consider me as a Pega instructor, please. I'm just working on my certification myself. You are welcome to, feel free to ask questions. You know, if I know the answer, then I'll try to answer it to the best of my knowledge. Um, like I tried helping out one guy the other day, concerning his challenge, um, or concerning the Pega challenge that he was on, that he was kind of stuck on. Haven't heard back from him, but it is what it is. You know, if he doesn't want to respond to it, he doesn't need to respond to it. Um, but I hope I helped him out in some fashion. Um, hopefully. Um, but like I said, you know, I don't mind helping. Um, but at the same time, kind of take it with a grain of salt because my answer might not necessarily be the official response kind of thing. Um, that's why I really hope that I have more like Pega instructors, Pega professionals in in my chat, in my Twitch chat, or in my YouTube video comment sections. Answering my questions and others' questions as well. So that would be fantastic if that happened. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But enough chit chat. Let's go ahead and get into the release management with Pega Platform. All right. Organizations. Okay. Organizations recognize the financial benefit of releasing application features to end users and customers faster than their competitors. Many have adopted a DevOps approach to streamline their software delivery lifecycle. DevOps is a collaborative effort between development, quality, and operations staff to deliver high-quality software to end users in an automated, agile way. By continuously delivering new application features to end users, organizations can gain a competitive advantage in the market. That's true. DevOps is a set of practices that bridge application development and operational behavior to reduce time to market without compromising on quality and operational effectiveness. It allows application developers and business owners to respond to customer needs quickly, develop a quicker feedback cycle, and ultimately achieve business value faster. DevOps methodology drives innovation and operates on three components: people, process, technology. Use DevOps practices such as continuous integration and continuous delivery to quickly move application changes from development through testing to development on your production system. Use Pega Platform tools and common third-party tools to implement DevOps. In the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about these three components. Okay, so you have people. DevOps encourages a culture of collaboration between development, quality, and operation teams to reduce or eliminate barriers through fundamental practices such as continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. Adopting these practices and the tools to support them creates a standardized deployment process so that you can deploy predictable, high quality releases. All right, process. DevOps encourages an automated process to quickly move applications from development through testing to deployment. Testing to deployment. All right. Technology. Technology DevOps encourages model-driven and open solutions to build a deployment pipeline. It's interesting that technology and process really has very short descriptions here, but people has a lot. You'd think that they would have a little bit more description on process and technology, but oh well. Okay, continuous integration and delivery. A continuous integration and continuous delivery (CI and CD) pipeline is an automated process to quickly move applications from development through testing to deployment. Following image, click the plus icon to learn how a continuous loop presents the development team with feedback on testing results at each stage in the pipeline. Alright, so you have continuous integration loop. In continuous integration loop, the team continuously integrates changes to a shared repository every day during the build process. That's basically what I was doing in my last job. Okay, um, they were they're uh, you know the product that I was working on was already done. Okay, so all that we did was um, business needed something new to be added, and oftentimes it didn't necessarily um, we didn't necessarily need to modify what we had already what was already built for the team that I was with, right? So, we didn't really need to do much, concerning certain changes. But then there was others that said, "Hey, we need you to handle like this new product coming in. So we're going to need you to create this new field and expect these particular inputs being put in for this particular field." So we had to change our activity and to allow for that new field to be delivered. So, um, so we were, constantly, you know, uh, if there was a change, then we modified it. We added it the um, to the main software, and then we uploaded it to production. So, so we were in the constant, continuous integration loop. If there was something that needed to be added in, then we go to the continuous delivery to you know uh, to kind of like test it and make sure that everything's kind of working the way we need to have it work properly. And we started uploading it to various like test servers that we had to make sure that it didn't affect any of the other teams um, that was kind of integrated with ours. Like they would either want um, they were all either receiving information from our particular application, or they were sending information into our particular application. So they had their own like test servers that they could test on, right? But they still needed to kind of integrate um, with ours, to make sure that what they were uh, sending in was indeed, you know, what they send in or what they get out would be, you know, uh, perfectly fine. Still it would kind of work the way they would like it to work, that kind of thing, right? So, so continuous delivery. Eventually, it would lead um, to the production server, where it would just be available for everybody, use and uh, developers, testers, and straight up users. So continuous deployment loop. In the continuous deployment loop, the team continuously deploys and ships the product during the release phase. So yeah. Continuous integration. With continuous integration, application developers frequently check on in changes to the source environment and use the automated build process to verify these changes automatically. You should add ready to share and integrate changes steps as part of your pipeline to ensure that all necessary critical tests are run before integrating and publishing changes to the deployment repository. With continuous delivery, application changes run through rigorous automated regression testing. The changes are deployed to a staged environment for further testing to ensure that the application is ready to deploy on the production system. In the ready to accept step, testing runs to ensure that the acceptance criteria are met. A ready to deploy step verifies all the necessary performance, scale, and compatibility tests that are necessary to ensure that the application is ready for deployment. The deploy step validates in a pre-production environment, deploys to production, and runs post-deployment tests with the potential to roll back as needed. So, um, they have paragraphs for continuous integration, continuous delivery, but they don't have one for continuous deployment. Hmm, interesting. I'm gonna make a note of that. Or let me send in a suggestion on that because that's a little odd. All right, 1 second. So there are paragraphs describing more on continuous delivery and continuous integration. But there is nothing more for continuous deployment. Um, um, is there supposed to be a paragraph more on that? Or was everything already covered by the graphic? I mean, they're talking about, continuous integration and delivery, and it's like, okay, that's all well and good, but I mean, um, you still have continuous deployment. Even, part of your graphic here has that. So, should you not be addressing this at all? Yeah, let me see. Uh, you have those two. Okay, that's fine. And then, of course, you had the deployment manager, apparently. But I mean, if they're going to be using the key term continuous deployment, then reference it. You know, let me put continuous deployment in here, right? So it's, it's not even reacting to that either. Oh well. But I mean, there's nothing here for continuous deployment. It's like, hey, if you're gonna be using keywords, use them. You know. Um, okay. The Pega CI, or continuous integration and continuous delivery pipeline. The following image depicts the high-level overview of the Pega continuous integration and continuous delivery pipeline. Different questions are asked during every stage of the pipeline. These questions fall into two categories: developer-centric questions and customer-centric questions. In the following image, click the plus icons to see the pipeline questions. Developer-centric questions. Are the changes good enough to share, and do they work together with other developer changes? Ready to share. As a developer, are changes ready to share with other developers? Ensure that new functionality being introduced works and critical existing functionality still continues to work. Integrate changes. Do all the integrated changes work together? Once all the changes from multiple developers have been integrated, does all the critical functionality still work? Okay, well, here's the thing. You're talking about developer-centric questions, but where's the customer-centric questions concerning continuous integration? I guess they're putting it in the continuous delivery, but I mean, you should still have these kind of customer-centric questions even in the continuous integration. Like, is, um, you know, does the changes that you are doing in the integration satisfy what the customer is looking for? You know, that should be part of your integration. You know, um, is is what you're working on what the customer wants? Okay, that should be part of your integration. It shouldn't be considered in delivery. Like, hey, did what you just deliver satisfy their wants? It's like you should already be aware of what they're looking for prior to delivery. You know, um, business should basically say, hey, this is what we're looking for. We need you to do it. Otherwise, you're just going to have the developers do whatever they want and give you a product that you might look at and go, oh my God, this is the ugliest thing ever, or something like that, right? You should have more customer integrated centric questions in continuous integration. Customer centric questions: is the application with new changes functionality as designed and inspected by customers and ready to use by customers? This should be in, that should also be in continuous integration. Don't, you know, um, or at least something similar to it should be in continuous integration, you know, ready to accept. Do all the acceptance criteria for the application still pass? This is typically where the application undergoes regression testing to ensure functional correctness. Is this application ready for deployment? The final phase is where the fully validated application is deployed into production, typically after it was verified in a pre-production environment. Okay, um, so here's the thing. These these bullet points here, while they are questions that you want to ask per se, they're not necessarily breaking them down into like the two. They said up here, you know these questions fall into two categories. Well, you know, split these up into those specific questions. Have questions designed for developer centric and the questions designed for the customer centric. Split them. Let let the reader know. This is typically what the developer tends to think versus this is what the customer tends to think, and put it on all of them. Put these kind of questions in developer and customer in every single one of these little bullet points here. You know, um, Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and make that suggestion in just a little bit here. And session slash image for developer centric questions and customer centric questions. I was figuring that all of the plus icons would show questions from both on all. Uh, when you are working on the integration, you should still be considering what the customer is looking for even then. Otherwise, the developer is just going to build what they want to see, which, if delivered and is completely wrong, then it gets returned. Both phases should have a here is the developer questions, and here is the customer questions. All right. That's it's one of the okay. So when you're working in the industry, okay. Um, typically when you need a product, when you need an application, a case lifecycle, whatever, right? The developers are going to be getting, some kind of information from business, okay? And they're going to be like, hey, we're going to be needing a list of all of our customers, and we need it to look like this, okay? We need it to kind of have it organized in alphabetical order. We're going to need to have, their full name, not just their last name or something like that, and then they might say, hey, we're also going to be needing their phone numbers or whatever. They're going to give the developers something that they're looking for at the very start. Okay. Otherwise, if they come to the developers and say, "Hey, we need a list," the developer is going to be going, "Okay, great. Can you supply me with more information?" you know, they're going to be like, "Okay, what kind of list are you looking for?" That kind of thing. So continuous integration, you're gonna be getting information from business saying, hey, we need this, okay, to build what they need, okay. So that is customer centric questions right there, from business, okay. They're gonna be basically saying, hey, you know, can you make me this kind of product out of that? And that should be considered in continuous integration. Okay. Um, same thing with continuous delivery and having developer centric questions. You know, um, now they kind of touch upon it anyway. Do all the acceptance criteria for the application still pass? That's more of a developer centric question than a customer centric question, right? So, um, is this application ready for deployment? That's more of a developer centric question, that kind of thing, right? So they need to do a little bit more, I feel, kind of, if they're going to say, hey, these questions fall in two categories, well, then state what they are part of, and then, look further in depth on these and provide examples of both for everything, you know, ready to share, integrate changes, ready to accept, ready to deploy. Have, questions for all of them, you know, because there should be, you know. All right, DevOps technology. The Pega Platform approach to DevOps is open to other solutions. You can start your DevOps journey by using the deployment manager and integrate third-party tools at a later time. The Deployment Manager, for those looking to get started quickly, the Pega platform offers a pipeline manager called the Deployment Manager. You must properly configure and integrate Deployment Manager with App Studio before you can publish changes. These integration steps enable communication between the candidate environments and the orchestrator for seamlessly publishing of deployment pipelines. Little light on the liquids right at this moment in time. Don't have that much water left. Normally, I like to have some soda, but don't have any on me right at this moment in time. So, um, okay. To learn more about enabling Deployment Manager integration on the App Studio environment, see Configuring App Studio for Publishing. By using the Deployment Manager, you can set up each of your applications with a pipeline. This pipeline is used to move your application from environment to environment. When the Deployment Manager is integrated on the App Studio environment, the pipeline for a specific application is exposed through App Studio, settings, to versions. Application designers can publish these changes to higher environments, which eliminates the need for system administrators to promote or configure applications manually. You can access the Deployment Manager in Admin Studio. And here's your Deployment Manager um, screen, I guess you might say. What they are currently working on, where, you know, development, staging, production, so on and so forth. So yeah. Use the Deployment Manager to configure and run continuous integration and delivery. Continuous, continuous integration and delivery. That's good. I like that. Workflows for your Pega applications from within Pega Platform. You can create a standardized deployment process to deploy predictable, high-quality releases without using third-party tools. With the Deployment Manager, you can fully automate your CI/CD workflows, continuous integration, and continuous delivery, including branch merging, application package generation, artifact management, and package promotion to different stages in the workflow. Okay, we're almost to the end here. Third-party tools. If you have an existing DevOps practice, keep on getting these comedy routines. I'm not interested in comedy routines. Sorry, like I mentioned before, I have some music playing in the background, but obviously they're copyright, so I don't want to put them on YouTube because know, I do, eventually want to, uh, you know, if I do get to a point where I can actually monetize my channel, I'd like to be able to do so. So copyright music isn't available. So all right. Um, if you have an existing DevOps practice, you can integrate DevOps with third-party tools. Pega Platform includes support for open DevOps integration using popular third-party tools such as Jenkins and Microsoft Azure DevOps by providing an open platform with all necessary hooks and services. With the Open DevOps integration, you can build a deployment pipeline by using third-party tools to automate branching. Check your knowledge with the following interaction. Three components of DevOps are people, process, and technology, and that's true. There really should have been more questions. Like, that question should have been like up here. you know. feel that this topic um, could probably have multiple quiz questions that can be asked about the topic, seeing that it covers quite a bit. Single question about DevOps at the end feels um, underwhelming. All right. I mean, I know that it covers, the certification covers the deployment manager more, I feel. So, so they could have done more on like questions throughout this, I feel. But all right, well, that's gonna be it for this. We are gonna be moving on to the next topic tomorrow. Let me go back to the module. So we're going to be covering the agile development best practices tomorrow. Uh, if we can get through that, quickly, then we'll move on to the module quiz after that. But for now, you know, we're just covering the release management with Pega Platform, and that's it for today. Um, So for those of you that are watching on Twitch, we're gonna switch on over to just chatting and go through YouTube deployment videos. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, um, feel free to do, you know, all those normal YouTube, you know, um, standard processes at the end. You know what I'm saying. You know, if you know, you know. Um, I mean, if you don't, then um, welcome to YouTube. um, I'll see about trying to, feel free to ask that question if you're interested. I'm sure someone can answer or I'll answer. Um, Sorry, I saw a video where someone was basically saying, don't bother with, doing that whole spiel about, you know, uh, about everything that you can do at the and at the very beginning or ending the video. Just don't bother with it. Everybody knows. It's like, okay. Um, so yeah, might as well give it a try, right? You know, you know, why can't, you know, doesn't hurt. All right, but that's it. Um, feel free to check out the other videos that I got on the playlist. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Um, if you feel like, I had some questions that, you know, I was confused about, maybe not this particular topic, but for other topics, and you have the answer for them, then please give a response. I would love to have, more people from Pega uh, Pega professionals, Pega trainers, look through these videos and you know help me with some of the questions that I have with it. It would greatly help out on that because obviously there are parts where it's like I'm not sure what they're going for on this. So that's it. We are going to go ahead and stop the video right now.